Welcome to the Office of Professional Licensure on behalf of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. I am Investigator Larry Hambert, RN, and this hearing is being audio and video recorded. Would you please state your name for the legal record?
Of course. My name is Catherine Flake, which is spelled Flake. That is one name I use. Some people know me as Miss Malpractice, while others address me as Catherine Hendron.
Ah, okay, I see. Have you been married several times, or do you suffer from multiple personality disorder?
It just so happens I am married to a friggin' lawyer, but I do not let anyone on the outside know that. It gives us clinicians a superior edge over our subordinates.
That must make life very convenient. If you don't object, I will refer to you as Ms. Flake, the defendant.
That sounds good to me.
Here before me on the table is a rather lengthy, nasty complaint filed by one of your former pissed-off patients, known on YouTube as Kiwi 101, calling into question your professionalism and lack of ethics in medicine.
Oh, that delusional, totally non-credible, vindictive prick? Give me a friggin' break. All he does is blame other people for his problems in life.
He sounds like quite a character. He has made some serious allegations about your so-called clinical expertise, and I need to record your verbal responses. Do you have any questions?
Not at all. This will be a piece of cake.
Kiwi states upon his very first appointment with you in 1995, you informed him it was your opinion that he was severely under-medicated. Do you have any recollection of making this remark?
Not at all, and there is no record in his clinical notes of those words ever coming out of my mouth.
I see. Moving forward to 1999, when you started him on ZYPRExA, how do you respond to his claim that he had never heard the word ZYPRExA in his life prior to September of that year? Yet, you claim he had specifically requested, by name, to be put on ZYPRExA.
As you can see in his notes, in late 1998, he was going through a delusional, difficult time, courtesy of his inability to deal with some obnoxiously loud, cocaine-snorting neighbors. I began giving him the standard sales pitch we clinicians are notorious for using, as instructed by the pharmaceutical companies. In my opinion, Kiwi made a great candidate for ZYPRExA. How it was then a new generation of antipsychotic to the market, which was much safer, compared to the older ones, along with much fewer, less dangerous side effects. Professionally speaking, it seemed like a match made in clinical heaven.
It sounds like everyone came out a winner.
Indeed, everyone is a winner in the world of psychopharmacology.
Okay, but in 2001, he reports asking you about neuroleptic malignant syndrome, and the possibility of developing it, to which you reportedly shrugged it off.
Well, there is no record in his clinical notes of him inquiring about this, so I don't know what to tell you.
In 2007, he informed you of a major numbness episode he experienced on one side of his body one night while asleep, and fired a warning shot advising of the possibility of legally going after Eli Lilly. Kiwi states you said absolutely nothing about this legal intention, and gave him a cold, evil stare, to suggest, how dare you, as being the prescriber, you would be dragged right into that scenario. Therefore, I ask, how do you respond to this allegation?
Once again, there is no record in his clinical notes of him ever mentioning a word about this pathetic, legal idea of his.
It sounds like someone here has done a great job at covering their own ass.
I learned that trick from Ronald Reagan during this testimony of possible involvement with the Iran-Contra scandal.
Very good, Ms. Flake. Not to change the subject, but speaking of presidents, I understand you went to Obama's inauguration back in 2009, and it was the most incredible experience in your entire life, even wilder than those crazy drug and sex parties you took part in at the Woodstock Festival.
Don't be an asshole, Larry. I would slap you in the face and kick you right in the balls if I wasn't seated so far away from you. Remember, we live only a mile apart from each other, and believe me, the last thing you need is for me to show at your door.
Holy crap. What the hell was that?
That is my alarm reminding me That is time for daily meditation with the Dalai Lama. Over Skype, on my iPhone. The Chinese government reconnected his quantum speed, fiber optic internet service over there in peaceful Tibet, so we are good to go.
Unfortunately, the Dalai Lama and your iPhone will have to wait a bit, as I have further questions with this investigation.
Okay, let's get this bureaucratic joke of an investigation over and done with.
It appears back in April of 2012, the shit really hit the fan, and nearly all hell broke loose, when Kiwi advised you of starting to wean off ZYPRExA, confirming his suspicions how the drug was adversely affecting him for years. To make matters worse, he reports you denied any accountability for this so-called ZYPRExA fiasco, and blamed him exclusively for it. What do you have to say for yourself?
Once again, it is worth repeating that Kiwi is a delusional, non-credible idiot, and should not be taken seriously. We clinicians are never at fault. I practiced clinical psych medicine by the book, and never did anything which compromised his health, nor would qualify as exhibiting lack of ethics in psych medicine.
Yes, I can see by reading your clinical notes. It appears you followed standard protocol with prescribing psych meds.
Goodness gracious me, of course I did. After all, we kept renewing the ZYPRExA prescription, year after year. It is also important to keep in mind how psych meds are marketed by Big Pharma, in the same manner as meds for diabetes, cholesterol, blood pressure, and the like, so that you stay on them for the rest of your life.
So, you in fact did say to him in July of 2012, those very words, how people stay on these meds, not only for as long as necessary, but indefinitely for the rest of their lives.
You bet your bureaucratic, sweet ass I did. Again, that is following standard prescribing procedure with psych meds. That sure as hell is not malpractice.
Very true. Now, I want to ask you about this phone call he placed to you a couple weeks after that appointment in April of 2012, to advise he was experiencing withdrawal side effects, and needed you to instruct him what to do. Please tell me about this phone call.
What phone call are you referring to?
The one I just brought up for discussion, you friggin' deranged stupid bitch, where he claims your horrendous response was, and I quote, "I have only prescribed ZYPRExA on a limited basis, and I do not have any experience with taking people off ZYPRExA."
Geez, you know something, Larry, I am terribly sorry about this, but I have no recollection of this phone call at all. It appears Kiwi must have been having yet another of his delusional moments while making this allegation. Also, once again, there is no record of this phone call ever occurring, and as you know, what gets written in the patient notes is the clinical truth. Furthermore, do not forget the role of a prescriber relates to putting patients on meds, and it is not their responsibility to be educated in withdrawing from meds.
I see. And, just whose responsibility is it to instruct a patient when it comes to psych med withdrawal?
I am completely clueless as to how to answer that question. I suppose one could always look up some info on the internet, given all the shit that is out there in the public domain.
Wow, Ms. Flake, you must be going through countless rolls of toilet paper, with all the ass-wiping responses you have been providing me with.
Indeed, I stopped at Costco on the way over here, and bought a 100-roll jumbo pack of extra soft Charmin.
I thought as much, as I noticed some clinging to one of your shoes. Now, could you please explain for the legal record how you arrived at the conclusion his sleep apnea attacks during the night were, as you mentioned in the notes, nocturnal anxiety attacks?
Quite simply, Kiwi is a nervous basket case, and it is only logical. What lies in his subconscious stays with him, even while asleep.
Oh, really? I just find it a bit fascinating how you could arrive at such a conclusion, without any other diagnostic testing, such as a MRI, CAT scan, sleep study, etc.
Again, with some 30 years prescribing experience as a clinical specialist psych nurse practitioner, I call it as I see it. I have been around the clinical block more times than you can count, and trust me on this one, Larry, I know damn well what I am talking about.
That is very interesting, Ms. Flake, given how Kiwi has since reported the frequency and intensity of those attacks have been reduced by some 90 to 95%. Since he began to come off of ZYPRExA in 2012.
That is merely coincidental and complete bullshit. Holy crap, Larry. What is that weight stain on the floor, under the table?
Oh, is that still there? Actually, it is leftover semen residue from your pal at Turning Point, when he was in here back in 1990, and was asked to produce a sample for DNA testing, to see if it matched the one taken from his patient's underwear. But that is a story for another time. Wink, wink. One of the final, and might I say, rather disturbing allegations made about you, occurred in July of 2013, which turned out to be Kiwi's final appointment with you.
Oh, yes. I remember that day. It was a real blast.
As Kiwi states in his complaint, he said to you in a rather alarming tone, quote, "Don't you realize I easily could have died in my sleep from taking ZYPRExA?" To which you reportedly said, "ZYPRExA is beneficial," and Kiwi responded by stating, "Only on a short-term basis," and you clearly did not agree with that remark. So, tell me, you fucking cunt, how the hell do you respond to that allegation?
Again, I have no recollection of ever making that remark, nor Kiwi telling me he easily could have died in his sleep. On top of that, there is no mention of it in the clinical notes.
Once again, that is very convenient, Ms. Flake.
I'm sorry. 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 I'm sorry.
Sorry my ass. Unfortunately, I am seated too far away from giving you one of Kiwi's famous, animated bitch slaps in the face.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Well, congratulations Ms. Flake. The investigative team here has determined that there is, quite simply, insufficient evidence to substantiate Kiwi's multiple allegations against you, and this case is now officially closed.
I told you, this would be a piece of cake for the Flake.
To wrap things up, Ms. Flake, on behalf of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, and the Office of Professional Licensure, we are terribly sorry to have wasted your valuable time with this farce of a complaint and resulting investigation. So, please keep up the good work, loading your patients up on these wonderfully harmless medications, and always remember to cover your ass.
I always do, Larry.
I would also like to take this opportunity to thank the taxpayers of Massachusetts for footing the bill for this investigation, as well as my salary. Personally, I am getting sick and tired of conducting these pathetic, bureaucratic investigations. I think I will leave this job and take a position with DMH and pocket an extra 10,000 quid in the process.
Relax, Larry, that is just the Dalai Lama mustache.
Oh, stupid me.